Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. We have been discussing about time and tense in the last classes. So we learned about present, past tenses and so on, simple present, present continuous, present perfect and the present perfect continuous. And then we moved on to see uh, simple past, past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. So in this class, we'll be speaking about future tense and mainly simple future, future continuous, future perfect and future perfect continuous tense. So, shall we start the session? So, we shall start the session speaking about the simple future. So, in the beginning, I would like to tell you that the simple future is, or the structure of simple future is like this. That is, subject plus will or shall plus uh, base from verb plus and verb plus object. So this will be the format of the simple future tense. And in the beginning, the things which we have to remember about simple future is very simple. And there are three things which we have to keep in mind when we speak in simple future. So the first one is all about I shall and I will indicating future tense are used to denote time, intention, act of will, determination, and promise. I'll explain with an example. For example, I shall go tomorrow or I will go tomorrow. So what is the difference between these two? So in the first example, shall has a reference to the future time or to a future intention. I shall go tomorrow in the sense it is an intention and it is not a promise or a determination. It is not so sure that he will go tomorrow. So there is a confusion in it. So that is why it is said that it is an intention is expressed. An intention sometimes he may go and otherwise he may not go. But in the second example, I will go tomorrow in the sense there is an intention which is there, an intention which is there, or a determination is there. It is sure that he will go tomorrow. So there is a difference between these two. So it expresses time, intention, act of will, determination, or promise. For example, I will help you. In the sense, it is a promise. It is a promise, and I will get good marks in the examination. So it's a determination, and there are things like that which we can express through simple future tense. And the second one is all about the future can be expressed by going to plus infinitive. If the idea or the intention of it is certainty. So if the idea is certain or intention is certain, we can obviously use simple future tense in order to explain such tenses. For example, I'll give an example. We are going to have dinner at 8 o'clock. So it is clear from the example that the person is going to have dinner at 8 o'clock. So there is a certainty in the sentence because they are going to have dinner at 8 o'clock. They have mentioned the time where in which the action will be taking place. So, and another thing which we have to remember is this particular sentence is explained in a present continuous tense. So when we studied present continuous, we have learned about using present continuous to explain about a future action. So the same thing is explained here. That is, we are going to have dinner at 8 o'clock. So here at 8 o'clock we are going to have dinner. So there is a certain determination or intention is explained in the sentence. In the sentence, at 8 o'clock they are going to have dinner. So there is a certainty in the act which will be happening. I can give one more example, that is, he is going to leave for London next Sunday. So it will be sure that he will leave for London next Sunday, because the flight tickets and other things, other procedures will be get ready by this time. So that is why it is said that he is going to London by next Sunday. So this is another example, and it is also used with the going plus infinitive. That is, we are going to have. So here going is used, going to is used, plus an infinitive is used. That is the verb to plus verb form is used in the sentence. So even in the first example and the second example, both infinitive is used. That is, we are going to have dinner, and in the second one, he is going to leave for London. So here there are infinitives in the sentence. That is, one is to have and another one is to leave. So that is all about the future. The second one, the future, simple future. And the next one which we have to keep in mind is a future idea is conveyed, but such verbs are to, intending, want, promise. So it is not necessary that we can convey our ideas in future tense only through the use of will or shall, but we can express through certain words which have a future meaning, like he intends to buy a fan. So here the simple present is used to speak about an action which will be happening. That is, it is because of the meaning of the verb. The word intent is used in order to speak about such actions. For example, he intends to buy a fan, or he intends to buy a car. In the sense, the verb creates a meaning in such a way that it explains about a future action. So here he intends to buy a fan, in the sense, what is that? He did not buy, or he is not buying, but he will buy tomorrow or the other day or the other hour. That is it. And the second example about a promise. I promise to return the book. Here the person hadn't returned the book, or he is not returning the book, but he is going to return the book. Till now he hasn't returned the book, but he is going to return the book. So here the word promise is used, and we can see that simple present tense is used in order to speak about an action which will be happening in the future. The second one is, do you want to buy a fan? So here want is used in order to speak about a future action. Do you want to buy a fan? Or do you want to buy a car? So here what does it mean? It expresses a future action in the sentence. And these are the three things which we have to keep in mind. The first one is all about the use of will and shall, and the second one is about express through going to plus infinitive, and the third one is all about the words, the future action is conveyed through some words like are, to, intending, want, promise, and so on. So this is all about the simple future tense. So now we move on to the second one, that is the future continuous tense. So there are also some kind of things which you have to keep in mind when we speak about future continuous, and we will explain it. So before we move on to future continuous, we will we will know the structure of a future continuous. So what is the structure of future continuous? It is subject plus, will plus, be form of the verb plus. So before we move on to the other parts, we will know what are the structure of a future continuous tense. It is subject plus, will or shall plus, be plus, ing form of the verb plus object. So this will be the format of a future continuous tense. And there are some kind of things which we have to keep in mind when we speak about future continuous. So we will see that. From the beginning, it is used for an activity or a state which begins before and continues after a point of future time. In the sense, I'll explain with an example. He will be flying across the Sahara at 8 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So what does it indicate? So here there is an action which will be going to, or which will be happening and it is happening at a certain point of time. Certain point of time. So it is explained like this: he'll be flying across the Sahara at 8 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. In the sense, there is an action which will be happening, and it will be a continuous action. So that is explained in the first action, because the process, that is flying, cannot happen at an instant, but it will be a continuous process. So he might be going from one place to another, and it will take a bit time to reach there. So that is why it is said he will be flying across Sahara at 8 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So it will be a continuous process, and in order to speak about such action, which begins before and continues after a point of future time. So it will happen, or it will continue for a certain point of time in the future. So that is the first thing which we have to remember. And the second one, the future continuous can also be used to indicate that an activity or a state will be going on or over a period of future time. For example, I shall be working in the laboratory tomorrow morning. So here, an action which will be going to happen in the future. So that can be explained in the for example, it can also be used to indicate that an activity or a state will be going on over a period of time. So in the first example, it is said that in the morning he will be doing the work, or he will be in the laboratory for some time. So there is an action which is going on in the morning or in the future. So in order to speak about such action or such a future time in the to a certain period of time, we can use future continuous tense. And the last thing which we have to remember is it can also be used instead of present continuous. So we have studied, when we studied about present continuous, that present continuous can express a future action. In the same way, it can also show an event which will be happening in the present, or definitely planned for the future. For example, he is going to the market in the morning, or he is going to the market in the evening, or he is going to New Delhi tomorrow. So here, present continuous is used in order to speak about a future action. In the same way, the future continuous can be used instead of present continuous to show that an event has been definitely planned for the future. So in such ways, we are using present continuous and future continuous. So we are using both tenses in order to speak about such actions. So that is all about future continuous, and we will see some examples of these two. So in order to know about, or in order to know more about simple future and future continuous. So the first example is I will read a book tonight. I'll read a book tonight. It's an example for a simple future tense. Or else the sun is going to rise at 5:30 in the morning. So here present continuous is used. So the last thing which we are going to see is future perfect and future perfect continuous tense. So before we move on to the elements of future perfect and future perfect continuous, we'll just know what is the structure of future perfect and future perfect continuous. So the future perfect tense will have a structure like this, that is subject plus will or shall plus have plus V3 form of the verb plus object. For example, you will have finished the novel tomorrow. And with regard to future perfect continuous, it is like this. There will be a subject, will or shall, have plus been plus ing form of the verb plus object. So for example, he will have been riding the bike for 2 hours tomorrow. So whatever it is. So Now we will see what is the main thing which we have to keep in mind when we speak about future perfect and future perfect continuous. So it indicates that a point of future time, an event will be in the past. In the sense, there will be an action which will be happening in the future, but it will have an end. And in order to speak about such actions, we will use a future perfect and future perfect continuous. For example, you will have finished that novel tomorrow. In the sense, it is certainly future perfect, but it shows an end in the past. I mean, end in the future itself. So, in the sense, you will have finished that novel. So, they are not continuing, but you will have finished by tomorrow. So, in order to speak about an ending action, which will be in the future, we will use a future perfect tense. In the same way, future perfect continuous also we will use in the same way. For example, by 10 o'clock he will have been here for 2 hours. So here it is an action which will be happening in the future, but what happens? It ends in the future itself. So in order to speak about such actions, we will use a future perfect and future perfect continuous. I can give some examples like they will have been drinking the coffee when I arrived, or they have drunk the coffee when I arrived, or else when you arrive, you will have been traveling for 2 hours or 2 days. So all these are examples for a future perfect and future perfect continuous. So now we will know what we have studied in the class. So mainly we spoke about time and tense, future tense, and the four sections in future tense, that is simple future, future continuous, and future perfect and future perfect continuous tense. So in a simple future we have learned about I shall and I will indicating future tense are used to denote time, intention, act of will, determination, promise. So these things will be explained in a simple future, that is when we use a shall and will. So there are other ways wherein which we can use express future action, but with the other structure. That is, the future can be expressed by going to plus infinitive. It is not necessary that we have to use will and shall in order to speak about or speak a future action or in simple future, but we can express also through going to or going to plus infinity, or else we can use are to intending, want and promise in order to speak about an action which will be happening in the future. And the second one which we are seeing is a future perfect continuous tense. So it is used for an activity or a state which begins before and continuous after a point of future time. So here an action which happens in the future and the time will be denoted. So in order to speak about such actions, we will use a future continuous. And the second one, it can also use to indicate that an activity or a state will be going on over a period of time in the future. So the same thing like a continuous process which will be happening in the future will be explained in such situations. The last one can be used instead of present continuous. So when we studied about present continuous, we studied that we can express future actions through present continuous. In the same way, present continuous can be said in with the help of future continuous. And the last one which we studied is the future perfect and future perfect continuous. So it is said that it indicates a point of future time, an event will be in the past. So we have studied four things which we have to know about future tense, that is simple future, future continuous, future perfect and future perfect continuous tense. So this is all about the session, and we will come up with the next chapter in the next class. Thank you.